Hello, I hope everybody's doing well tonight. I hope you can hear me okay. I couldn't find my headset in true, form tonight. I'm so forgetful, so phone speaker it is, but hopefully it's good. Um, I came on tonight because one of my subscribers was nice enough to send me a link to the Macquarie County Record. They have a website where they have archived a lot of articles, and when I got to started digging, I found a lot of stuff on Crystal Marler. Um, if you've watched it, I've mentioned Crystal a couple of times. Ada Cox had mentioned her and let us know who she was, and since then I have been completely obsessed. For those who don't know, she was a 15-year-old from Macquarie County, Kentucky, and back in 1998 she went missing. 10 years later, in 2008, she was found, and it was her skeletal remains, of course, unfortunately. But now, 25 years later, it's never been solved, and there is just so much to it that just makes you wonder why it was never solved, and it's really caught my attention, so I thought I would just come live to dig with you guys. And Ada, she's kind of been giving me a feel for what it was like to grow up there. And I know she had mentioned the drive-in because I've actually had to start a notebook on Crystal. Like, not my general true crime notebook. I went and got a whole 3-ring binder and just went ahead and started it because I've just stumbled up on so much stuff. I want to make sure that I document it all correctly. And it's so much to wrap my mind around. If I didn't, I could never keep up with it all. But she was saying that they go to the drive-in. Oh, to our drive-in. Okay, so Twins Drive-In closed down a couple years ago, but yeah, the drive-in was always a big place for us too. So I bet me and Crystal, I bet we all crossed paths at one time and just never really even knew it because I was at the drive-in at least once a weekend, at least. Yeah, there was never anything in Macquarie County but hiking trails, but that was always more my speed anyways. Hey, FarQ, how are you? She is definitely worth it. Hey, Loves to Lurk. Good to see you. But yeah, most of you all know I have a 15-year-old daughter. So, of course, this caught my attention alone because she was 15 and beautiful, beautiful young lady. So, I don't know. We can go ahead and start into it here, though. I've got the first article that I stumbled up on pulled up that I want to read. I haven't read it all entirely yet, so we'll be initially discovering it together, I guess. And this newspaper no longer exists. They shut it down. It looks like, I don't know. I forget what the last year it gives me an option to search on here is now, but I know it started in like 1929, and it's been down for a minute. Let me see if I can get there we go. So this is of course, where this is a paper, you can't see a great picture of her, but yes, Crystal was a very beautiful biracial girl. And yeah, we'll look at a color photo over here in a minute. She brings a picture to life. It's crazy. She's a beautiful girl. Such a shame. But this, like I said, this is the Macquarie County Record. They are no longer operating, but they do have all of their articles archived. So this is from Tuesday, April 1st of 2008. So this would have been from the year that they found her remains. It says, cold case, 15-year-old Macquarie County Crystal Marler disappeared mysteriously almost 10 years ago. Now her intriguing case is being revisited in a segment on a popular WYMT TV feature. And I think this is the Mountain Cold case, probably, that they're talking about. I haven't really read. Yeah, there it is. Mountain Cold case. I can see it now. But I think that's out of Hazard or somewhere. I would love to see that episode. I would love to see it. Has anyone seen that that you know of, Ada? Oh, she was found in 2009. Got you. Yeah, I know it was like 2015 or 17 was the last year it would let me search on there. But surprisingly, they done quite a few articles for it to be an unsolved case and something that really not a lot of public stuff has been mentioned on. they covered it a lot. Maybe not a ton, not as much as it deserved to be, but a lot more than I expected, I should say. So I take that back. This was written the year before she was found. So in this one, it will be as if she's still missing, I'm sure. The staff writer for this was John Perry. The story of missing Macquarie County teen is back in the news this week as Hazard television station decided to feature Crystal Marler's story on its latest edition of Mountain Cold Case. Marler has been missing since October 8th of 1998 when she was just 15 years old, and her whereabouts has been a Macquarie County mystery for nearly a decade now. I'm going to write down that date because I knew the year, I just didn't know the day. And I'm going to correct the year that I had her found on here. Okay. Missing persons posters periodically circulate, but little information of value has surfaced over that time. Her remaining family includes her half-brother Jonathan and his grandmother Lorella Wood, who follows any lead about Marler with a passion. I'm not a blood relative, but I think of her as my granddaughter. Wood told WYM-TV reporter Stephen Hensley, who filmed the segment for the show, which will air at 11 p.m. on Sunday night. Hensley said he was familiar with the Marler case because the station had previously done a story about a missing teen and interviewed her mother, Abby, who was killed in an automobile accident last June. His family has been through a lot, he said. Wood and Kentucky State Police Detective Billy Carell were, and then it stops. Let's see. Yeah, I don't. If you know how to navigate to like the different pages of the paper, I don't know if these little side buttons let me try. That's one thing that I was getting frustrated with earlier because I couldn't go to the. Yeah, no. Let's see. That didn't do what I thought it was going to do. Let me see if it'll get me back to where I want to go. Loves to lurk. Be careful driving and just listen. Don't be typing in here. You got to focus on the road. It's very important that you do that. Little blue arrow. That's how. Oh, so I was thumbing through the pages there. Okay. All right. Then that's what I'll do. That's 20B. Well, I have got myself all messed up here. Here. You all forgive me. I'll get it back up here. We may not finish that article, but we'll get an article. Oh, here it is. Okay. Sorry about that. Very slow. It doesn't help that my Chromebook is slow too. Where do they have these pages labeled at? Let's see. 2A, 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 2A. So this must be 1. Let's see what we got here. Here we go. Look at me doing big things. Thank you, Ada, for letting me know about those arrows. That helps me tremendously. Okay, this is continued. Lorella was interviewed for the segment, which is the 10th episode in the relatively new but popular series that airs in conjunction with Mountain News on Sunday nights. Hensley said that while no cases featured on the station have been solved, he believes the shows have led to more information surfacing about cases that no one had thought about in some time. And I agree with you on that. Anybody talking about any of these cases that are unsolved, cold, any of the missing, murdered, it doesn't matter what it is. If you talk about it, it's helping some. It's always good to keep those names out there and to keep awareness up, because if people aren't aware of it, they don't know to come forward with information that they may have. It goes on to say that a lot of the ones we done are from back in the 80s and 90s. Hensley said we just want to get them back out there in the public's mind. Hensley said the show usually doesn't stray from far eastern Kentucky, and that the trip to Macquarie County was the furthest he had traveled to cover a story for the series. The show will air on Access Cable Channel 16 WYM-TV at 11 p.m. on Sunday. Okay, I'm going to take note of that because I'm going to try to find that later. see. Channel 16 WY or WMYT. Okay. And then, of course, it goes on to tell you where to call if you have information on Crystal. It says the state police. I think now it's actually Macquarie County, but at the end of this show, I will give you the end of the stream, I'll give you guys a number that you can call if you have any information. Okay. I'm going to see if I can go back on to the search feature and see if we can't find another article. I think there was actually, let me go find this YouTube video. They've done a couple videos of her in the news on some of the local news channels. Let me just pull her up really quick because I want you guys to see, it helps to see her picture. And get the right screen up here. Remove that. And then present. Give me just a second. Okay, this one was from LEX18. I think we might have listened to this one last time, but I'm going to play it again just for those who weren't familiar with the case because some of these videos really
because it was really easy to try to balance classes, writing papers.
Okay, Bill, thank you. October marks the 20th anniversary of the disappearance of Crystal Marler in Macquarie County. The 15-year-old's remains were found in 2009, but her killer remains unknown. LEX18's Michael Burke has more from Whitley City.
20 years later, and not a day goes by when Lorella Wood doesn't think about Crystal Marler.
There's always something to remind you of her. She was at my house a lot.
Marler was a half-sibling to Wood's grandson. She disappeared in 1998, and it wasn't until 11 years later when skeletal remains were located in Macquarie County. Officials were able to rule her death a homicide. The case remains open, remains unsolved.
They are somebody out there that knows what happened. We just hope that they come forward sometime or another and let this family have some peace.
And after all this time, it's been 2 decades, all the leads have dried up, dwindling down to just rumors and gossip. But the sheriff did say that no piece of information will be considered insignificant.
Because you never know what that may lead to.
For someone like Lorella Wood, the hope is it leads to finding those responsible. That might even be more meaningful than a conviction at this point.
Just as sad not knowing why they would do something like that. It hurts.
And the pain remains just as fresh as it was during the fall of 1998.
You don't get over a death, but something like that's a lot worse.
Covering the news in Macquarie County, Michael Burke, LEX18 News.
If you have any information about the death of Crystal Marler, you're asked to call the Macquarie County Sheriff's Office. That number is 606-376-2322.
Yep, I was muted, man. I was talking a lot. Well, it's all gone now. I'll start over. I'm going to go ahead and I'm sharing the screen and we're going to pull up more articles. But yeah, I seen one on here that had said a road name with her skeletal remains, but I didn't read the entire article because I wanted to come on live with you guys. So Yeah, I was definitely muted. I do apologize and thank you for asking because I would have carried on for hours not knowing. So this search feature is really cool. I wish every newspaper had this option. I love it. Okay, let's see. That would have been 2009. It's not here. Give it a second here. Let it do its thing. Oh, here we go. Here's one from August the 11th. Oh, wow. Trigger warning for anything you may read on my screen. I will not be talking about any kind of corn charges today, so do not be offended by me, guys. That is not Okay, so this is about her memorial. Memorial services for Crystal Sue Marler will be held this Saturday at 1 p.m. at the Macquarie County Funeral Home, and it tells where her burial will be. Marler was just 15 when she disappeared in October of 1998. Her skeletal remains were discovered in April 2009 in the woods off of Peel Dogwood Road. Ooh, we got to write that down. Is that the same one you were talking about, Ada? So, April 2009, off a service road in the woods. Sorry, guys, I write slow. Of Peel and Dogwood Road. And later, if somebody reminds me, we can pull that up on Google Earth and kind of see what that area looks like to see why it took them so long to find her when she really, word is, wasn't that far from home. It goes on to say that she had been shot in addition to suffering blunt force trauma, according to the postmortem examination. I would like to see that. I think I'm going to try to get my hands on that autopsy report. I don't know, though, because where she was a minor, that probably isn't public information. It goes on to say Macquarie County Detective David Sampson is leading the murder investigation. So I'm glad they called it a murder investigation because it seems like early on they were treating her as a runaway. Okay, give me a moment. I'll look at it. Okay. Let's see. The article that Ada sent me says the crime scene was located off Peel Dogwood Road, about a mile down Forest Service Road 6136. Look at you go. About a mile down Forest Service. Sorry that I'm repeating everything I'm writing, guys. My ADHD is out of control today. And it goes on to say that the officers found scattered skeletal remains, a fairly concentrated area approximately 100 feet from the gravel road. Though remote, the area is not unfamiliar to hunters. The right one just walked by the right place, Sheriff Skinner said of the discovery. Well, look at you, Sheriff Skinner. It's just luck, huh? Sounds to me like she was very close to home and in a not so out of the way area. So it makes me wonder just how good of a search was done in the first place. Thank you for sending that to me, by the way. Okay, let me go look at it too. Let's see this one. I'm just going to read the article because if I try to find it on here, guys, where it's slow, I'm going to mess the whole little thing up. So if you all don't mind, I'm just going to read it. So this one says, according to Sheriff Skinner, the body apparently decomposed on top of the ground. Though investigators had to clear away several years' worth of leaf litter, they never had to dig below the soil. Okay, so wow. Not only was she found in close proximity to the last known location she was, and in a not so out of the way place, she was on top of the ground. Wow. I don't know if I would have admitted that to the public if I was them. Though he could not discuss specifics, the sheriff noted that the condition of the forensics evidence collected indicated foul play and the case is being investigated as a homicide. Dr. Emily Craig, a renowned forensic anthropologist with the Kentucky Medical Examiner's Office, has been able to determine from a preliminary examination the remains belonged to a teenage female. The skull contained several teeth, which will be compared to another missing person's. It will be several weeks before an identification can be made, Sheriff Skinner said. Adding to that, Dr. Craig is also working on cases where human remains were recently found in Grayson and Pike counties. Word of the discovery has sparked public interest in the local missing persons cases. Sheriff Skinner told the Record that the remains did not belong to 30-year-old Chastity Goho, who was last seen in January. The findings appear to be more consistent with the case of Crystal Marler, who was just 15 when she disappeared in October of 1998. We're not ruling out the possibility that this is Crystal, Sheriff Skinner said, but before we make that statement, we would need to hear the determination from Dr. Craig in the state examiner's office. This case and bringing closure to someone's family will be top priority for our office, he continued. I hope it is top. I hope it has been top priority, and I hope it still is. I just don't know how confident I am in that statement, and maybe that's just because I'm a very glass half empty top person right now on this area. Anyways, it says Deputy Sheriff David Sampson is leading the investigation. Anyone with information, and then it tells them where to call. Hid her well? You think so? Oh, really? That's probably some of the information they're not let out. Hit her well. Wow. It's just it. I know I've seen them do some of these grid searches and things before, and it's just if some of the reports are correct and she was found within 5 miles of her last known location. Wow. A grid search should have took care of that. But if they wrapped her in carpet and then, after a decade, I guess different things can happen too, even if they may have put her in a shallow grave, for you to be, I don't know. Well, Amy, that is so great. I'm glad. I hated she was in trouble and getting arrested and in a bad way, but hey, breathing's always better. Always. Thank you, 4Q. Since the night that Ada told me about it, I've been hooked ever since. I've had to make myself go on to some of my other cases, like planning for DJ's visual and stuff. I've had to make myself make time for that because if I don't watch myself, I get caught up in all these newspaper clippings and I'm sitting here in these articles for hours upon hours at a time. Oh, they did not hide her well. They could have easily popular hunting grounds. Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me because, like I said, okay, for instance, summer wells. If you go and you remember those grid searches, if you remember the videos and the explanations from like David Rader of how they do those, if you grid search a 5-mile radius, if there's a body on top of the ground, they're going to find it because these people are basically walking arm to arm almost. They're covering small portions of a grid line by themselves, just and there's several people doing this, so it makes me wonder if they did anything like that. Well, I don't know about that, but I hope I hope a blessing can come out of all of this. I'm actually really looking for a PI right now who could do this for pretty reasonable, maybe something that we could crowdfund on. I know one, it's just, he's so far out of the area, it's not going to be affordable at all. It's just not going to be doable. But I think a PI is what needs for this case to be busted wide open, because they could get their hands on some information that we couldn't. Also, people talk to them more than they talk to law enforcement. So I think a PI could get on this case and really start digging and get some information. And wouldn't that be great for Lorella, for the grandmother? I know I had looked one, and a couple other people have looked for one. We haven't found an obituary for Lorella, the grandmother, so she must be still alive, you know. And I have heard of where she's at, and I do plan on trying to go and speak with her. Not really for anything YouTube related, just for, well, for stuff to go in Crystal's binder. I want to keep all of her information safe. You know, kid ain't got no family hardly left, and her grandmother is in her 80s. So, yeah. Anyways. Yeah, I'm always open to a summer opinion. Always. You can tell me now if you want to. It's good. I don't have an opinion on summer anymore because I flip-flop so much. I don't know. I really thought we'd know more by now. I've followed Summer's case since the day after, and it's never made sense to me. Ooh, you got Farkey's attention. We like unpopular opinions, huh? I like unpopular opinions, I should say. See, what I'm doing now is I'm just going to go through and see what articles are available, see which one catches my eye. If one does, we'll read it. If you want to give us their Summer Wells opinion, we got time for that too. If not, it's just a chill chat. There's so many Marlers. Okay, here we go. Here's one from 2009. I really think you're right on that. I listened to her on a podcast, and that's one, if I can ever get a hold of the tipsters, or no, just the tipsters, and get their permission, I would like to do some commentary on that. That is, I might do it anyways. That's not really doing nothing wrong. I watch people do it every day of their lives on here. That's something, that's a really interesting interview they do with Grandma on there. Yeah, there's no way to know one way or the other in my mind. Because one minute I see something showing out and I think, well, there's what happened. And then the next minute I think, well, that couldn't have happened. Sorry, I get excited and threw my phone, but no. And then sometimes I'll be back on the other side of the fence and think this happened, that happened. I don't know. But what I do know is I really feel like if Summer had wandered off, that they would have found her because of the grid search that was done. I'm confident in that 5-mile radius grid search was done, that Summer was not within that 5-mile radius. And that's just my personal opinion because I have personally seen the area before. And that's the feel it gives me. And I think you have to personally see it before you have that exact feel of it. Oh, well, more corn charges, guys. Sorry about that. Look at that. Okay, here's another article about Crystal. And this one again is from 2009, I think from August 2009. Ada, that is where, you know why I can completely relate to that, because we know the areas, we do know families like that. So yeah, I agree with you 110% there. While I feel that they have poor parenting, that, yeah, Yeah, I'm with you on that. Right. I think if anything ever came out, that it would be that it was neglectful stuff, like something accidental and a cover up. But even at that, I feel like we would be seeing something in the case if it was that. But I won't get too far into my summer opinion because tomorrow it'll change because I'm a flip flopper, guys. I flip flop all the time. But yeah, I don't think that they done anything. I spoke with Dawn and Candace both, and every time I speak to them, I don't think it happened. Not like that. 4Q, you must flip flop like I do because I flip flop a lot. Okay, but anyways, I'll get back to Crystal. Sorry, guys. I always take a chance when I can to get off on summer topic because there's nothing new, so I don't ever go live about her. But if I have a chance to talk about Sweet Summer, I will talk about Sweet Summer every time. Getting back to Sweet Crystal here. Like I said, this is from August 2009, I think. It says that she was seen approximately 4 p.m. on October 8th, 1998, as her mother, Abigail Marler, dropped her off near a friend's home on Strunk Ridge Road. Okay, I'm going to write this down. So Abigail dropped her off near a friend's home on Strunk Ridge. Near. I wonder what it said near. And Strunk Ridge is another place that we can look at on Google Map if you guys will remind me. Though the family personally searched the county, Abigail Marler did not live long enough to know what happened to Crystal, dying in a June 2007 car accident. How crazy is that? She died in June 2007, and they didn't find her daughter until 2009. And it's so stinking sad that lady had to pass away not knowing. Correct. Yeah. If I would come on here every time to speak something on Summer Wells, honey, oh man, this would not be the same channel. I have seen what it does to channels, and it's a crying shame that that's what happens. But unfortunately, it is. They turn into trauma every time. And then it goes on to say that Crystal survivors had been in contact with authorities on July 27th, but learned of the positive identification with a formal visit from Detective David Sampson and the McCrory County Coroner Daniel Ryder the following morning. I am at rest with it, grandmother Sue Marler said. The minute the body was found, I knew it was her. Lorella Wood, grandmother to Crystal's half-brother Jonathan, recalled thinking the fall that Crystal disappeared that she would probably be found by deer hunters. You know, I always thought Summer was going to be found by hunters too. Didn't happen. But look how many years it took, so I guess we never know the outcome of these things. That's been 10 years ago, Wood said. I'm glad we finally found her. I'd always prayed that I would live long enough to see justice done. I pray she does. Both women expressed relief that their granddaughter can be finally laid to rest. More than 5 years ago, Abby's co-workers raised money to put a memorial stone for Crystal in the family plot at the Carter Cemetery in Masha's Siding. Wood said the family now expects Crystal's remains to be released for burial later this week. Though a memorial service has been discussed, Wood said nothing will be scheduled until Crystal's remains have been returned to the family. And then it talks about a fund. It talks about the National Center for Exploited Children. Let's see what this says. It says, I want to ensure the family and the public that we will continue, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children have accelerated the results and assisted in reconstructing exactly what happened to Crystal. So that's very interesting. Who is responsible is now the question foremost on officers' minds, as Crystal's case is classified from missing person to homicide. The murder investigation is being led by Detective Sampson. We have received information in the past regarding Crystal and the Peel Dogwood community and have used cadaver dogs to assist in searches of that area, but had not been successful. Detective Sampson said it's difficult when there is so much large remote area to search. Wow, they had dogs in there and didn't find her? But they had beagles? I mean, if she wasn't even buried, how did a halfway decent search dog find her? Tay loves to lurk. Ada says Abigail's mother may be alive. Also, Lorella mentioned her being in a nursing home soon, Marler. I'm going to take note of that. Oh, that means that's who she was named after. Oh, she does. Got you. Got you. Okay, and it goes on to say the girl's remains were found scattered in a fairly concentrated area about 100 feet from a gravel Forest Service road that is not unfamiliar to hunters. At the time of the discovery, Sheriff Skinner told the media that the body apparently decomposed on top of the ground. Though investigators had to clear away several years' worth of leaf litter, they never had to dig below the soil. There you go again. And McCrae County Sheriff's Office press release did not specify what all had been recovered from the scene, but indicated that officers were following leads developed from that search. I would like to know what evidence they have. Evidence was located near Crystal's remains, and forensic examinations of this evidence are pending. We hope to derive additional information from this evidence, but still ask the community to assist by providing any information they may have. Skinner said yesterday that the department has been following up on the tips that have been received so far. Wow. So they did find evidence. I'm going to take note of that, because if I can ever speak to anyone who will speak to me about this in Macquarie, which I plan on after I get my vigil stuff done over with on the 9th of December, that following week, I plan on going to Macquarie County in person and speaking to one of the papers, and then going down to the sheriff's office and just seeing what they'll say to me. You know, they seem so eager to solve it. It looks like they would talk to anybody. So I don't want to give me any secret information. I just have a few questions that I would like to hear what the official answer is on, you know. And I would like to see if they would elaborate anything more on evidence, what that would be. Woohoo! Shop till you drop. Great. Oh, she does have a gravesite. Got you. I thought you meant the grandmother did. Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely going to look into that. Go pay my respects. And I'm sure you guys would like to see it. A lot of you all would probably just appreciate the view in Macquarie County itself. It's a very beautiful place, guys. This place where this happened is one of the most beautiful places. I would argue one of the most beautiful places in Kentucky. From caves, waterfalls, hiking trails, trees, forestry. The Daniel Boone Forest is right there. You know, you can't get more beautiful than Macquarie County, Kentucky. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, DNA or what. I would think it wouldn't be DNA because of the length of time, but who knows? Let's hope for it. My fingers are crossed for that. I would definitely like to see it. Yeah, everything down there is great. Oh, for her initial missing ad. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to pull up another one of these YouTube videos, and I'm going to go grab my coffee out of the microwave, guys. I left it in there, and I'm going to have it. I don't get very far without my coffee this time of day. Let's see. I guess I could type her name in instead of my own, though. Well, I thought there was another one, but there wasn't. I apologize. That was my video. Okay, guys. I'm going to be silent for about 30 seconds. I'm going to go run and get my coffee. Sorry about that. Thank you guys for excusing me for a moment. And yes, bluegrass country. There you go. So yeah, in Kentucky, it's the bluegrass state. Actually, yeah, that's cool. You know that. Yes, if you could ever make your way to Kentucky, you always have a place. Just know that, FARQ. I can show you around the lake, and Ada can show you around the hiking trails. And Ada's actually probably a little bit more traveling on Kentucky than I am, because I keep mostly in the southern part of the state, but I think she gets out a little more than I do. Okay, let me pull back up this newspaper articles here. And I'm going to go to 1998, you said. Let me pull back up the date. October 1998 for her initial ones. Oh, I guess I better put in what I'm searching. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, tons of horses here and tons of race horses. I used to ride horses a lot. I miss it. Okay, here's one of her initial missing reports. Let's go ahead and look at it. It's from October the 20th. And where'd my book go? So she went missing October the 8th. This is going to be from 12 days later. She was in the paper here. Yeah, if you ever come to the U.S., let me know. I will take you to the Kentucky Derby. That is a fun place to be. I don't gamble, but I like the hustle bustle of it there. It's just got a good vibe to it. Okay, there's her missing picture. Crystal was last seen Thursday afternoon, October 8th. Crystal is a sophomore at McQuarrie County and the daughter of Abby Marler of Whitley City. Crystal is 15 years old with brown eyes, 5 foot 4 inches tall, and weighs 90 pounds. If you have seen Crystal or have any information, then it tells where to call. She's so tiny, too. How scary. She was shot and then beat. I'm sorry, and then blunt force trauma. And it didn't say to the head, but I can only assume. That's me. That's me. I'm all about that atmosphere, too. I get to gambling and I will be broke, and I don't like being broke. I'd rather work and save my money. And some would say I'm boring, too, but... Oh, no. I went too far back. Let me get back where I was. Oh, it did say the same thing. What do you guys think about listening to the interview of the grandmother that's on the tipsters? What do you guys think that that's poor taste of me to listen to that right now, or no? I'll wait and get your all's opinions, because sometimes I don't always have the best judgment on those things. I know what I see, online, and that people do that. I just... Whoops. I'll get back there, I promise. Yeah, of course, just for commentary. I just wanted to take the portion of her, too. I think that's what I'll do. Are you guys interested in that? Because I would like to have another listen now that I know more, and kind of just try to picture this all in my mind. Because that's the hardest thing that I'm having trouble right now, is wrapping my mind around the full picture, because there is so many little details that are trickling in. I love it. Oh, I love it. For you. You sound like my kind of person. True. Okay. Would you guys be interested in me going live when I go to McQuarrie County? Wouldn't be next week, but like the following week, I guess. See, it was just the tip. Well, it should be on here because they did a Crystal Marler one. There they are. Here, I gotta share the right screen, I guess. You guys don't want to sit looking at the newspaper while I'm listening to the interview, huh? Right. Yeah, and anytime I come live, I leave my live streams up. That way anybody can replay, because I know everybody's got jobs and lives, and my schedule is not the most consistent with the toddler. He just doesn't allow me to have that between him and the family anyways. Okay, let's see. Here we go. So this is a channel called Just the Tipsters. I will grab a link and post it in the description. Go over, give them guys a sub. I don't know if they're still doing it. I haven't watched anything recent of theirs, but go sub up to them, get the video a like, go watch it in full over there, because I'm going to go down and I'm going to find where they're interviewing grandmother. Maybe. Here we go. Here, 22 minutes in, we'll start.
And when did Crystal's mother, Abigail, find out that she had not made it home?
She had big dreams.
Finally put Crystal's case under the umbrella of a homicide.
Okay.
She had been missing for 11 years, but her remains that were found, there was evidence that
How far at I'm in about 19 minutes right now. I hope Tipster doesn't mind. Really, not a lot of people has covered her, and it's crazy because this is a sleuth's dream. This case is a sleuth's dream, I'm telling you guys. It really is. This is the kind of cases that we were meant for. Not these active investigations that we can mess up and stuff. These 25-year-old cold cases that no one else has given the time of day is the ones that we're good for. Okay. Oh, gotcha. Let's see if I'm not
a school friend that
Okay.
we didn't, I mean, just,
Wow.
yeah, and he's talking about a fly movie. He's like not moving. It was very reminiscent of Joseph James D'Angelo.
Oh, you know that
As the horrible wheels of justice turn very slowly. But in a similar vein, the same wonderful process that found him, genetic genealogy, has found another man.
That's
and
the
this
way I
might
am.
be one of the oldest cases. And hopefully he's still alive. They have put out a warrant for him and are looking for him. They don't know where he is. He would be 81 years old by now. But it's a case from August, arrest warrant for James Redmond Taylor. And he was in his 20s at the time in college. I hope they find him. The only thing I can say is that, hey, she just disappeared. They don't exactly know if it was from her home. It seems like it because she had made it home from a friend's house and had written in her diary. So she had made it home at some point, whether she went out again or someone came and picked her up.
So that's something that catches my eye. She had made it, or catches my attention. She made it home and she wrote in her diary. So we do know that there is a diary that she wrote in before she went missing. That diary was probably full of so much good information, and I hope they kept it. I hope they kept it safe.
Up, she, obviously didn't drive, so someone came and picked her up and they walked away, or someone came and picked her up and they took her away in a vehicle. We don't know, but her remains were found 11 years later, and she had been bludgeoned and shot, and there was other evidence found. And here we are 11 years after that, and nothing.
Yeah. This is McCreary County is in Kentucky, right?
Yeah, southeastern part of Kentucky. And this case came to me from a school friend that we didn't graduate together because we'd only gone to junior high together.
I didn't, what was I going to say? Oh, the evidence that was found. Now, see, he mentioned the evidence. I wonder if law enforcement, because I listened to some of this partly, but not all the way. I was doing things as I was listening to it. That's why I wanted to give it another listen. I wonder if anybody knows what evidence that is, if that's ever leaked out anywhere, because I'm extremely interested in that after seeing that there was evidence found. I'm sure they have. I think somewhere in here that grandma talks about it.
together. And she and her family had moved from northern Kentucky down to southeastern Kentucky, where her father was from. And she, I don't know how she found the podcast. I haven't even asked her, but she sent me an email. And this case was so interesting to me. And the more I dug and dug, and obviously, small towns, a lot of rumors, there's a lot of small town gossip, and none of it, means anything unless someone out there says, you know what? I know this. I heard this. I saw this. I really am asking if anyone knows anything about this case, and we'll leave the number for the McCreary County Sheriffs at the end of the episode to really consider calling in. Lorella is 85, and as she says, none of us live forever, and she wants to know who and why, who did this to her granddaughter and why, before she goes to meet them again. Uh, Crystal's mother died in a terrible accident 2 years before Crystal's remains were found. It's there's just this family has had enough. They've been through enough and they need answers. And I'm going to ask this, and I don't know that I've ever asked this, but if there's a private investigator anywhere in, the southeastern part of Kentucky, Tennessee, anywhere around there, and you have some time that you would like to work on a case, I'm asking for your help. And I know Lorella needs
Yes.
your help, and this case needs your help. Crystal needs your help because just
Yes, any PIs whatsoever that would take this on, that would be awesome, because she doesn't have that much family. So a lot of money cannot be afforded. But if you need fed and some gas money, if that's what you're needing to be able to do this, great. Contact me, please. Just get a hold of me. It's ties.2.dye, 4, and then at Gmail, or 422@gmail.com. I'll put my email in the description. But anybody, leave a comment, whatever. Just reach out to me. If it's something reasonable, I can swing it. If it's not reasonable, I can't afford $200 an hour. But if you need some, basic expenses covered, holler at me. We can work something out.
such a beautiful girl. Lorella describes her as having big dreams, and you can see it when you see pictures, and especially a 22-year-old picture. You're never sure what a picture is going to look like, and it in a flat, one-dimensional form never shows someone in their life how they move and act and behave. But Crystal's picture is different. She looks almost three-dimensional in a flat picture. She looks like she's about to come out of a picture and just
Yeah.
start moving and living and breathing. You can just she's so full of life
Great
and
idea.
light. You can just see the light coming out of this beautiful girl's eyes, and whatever happened, she sure didn't deserve that. No one deserves that, but she really didn't deserve that. So if you're a private investigator and you want to work on this case, if you happen to live in the area and know something that you weren't even sure you knew, but now you know is the truth and you want to tell someone, please call the McCreary County Sheriff's Office. And again, we'll leave that number. Please feel free to call us at 832-847-7837, our tipster hotline. You can email us, jttipsters@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. And here is the case of Crystal Marler. So today we have a special guest. We have Lorella Woods, who is the grandmother of Crystal Marler. And Crystal's case was sent to me by...
Sorry, before they start this, what did he say? I got tipsters@gmail.com. What was the first part of that? Did you guys hear? Thank you, Clark Hugh. It's really appreciated.
a friend from junior high school back in northern Kentucky, and tipster Lisa had moved to where Lorella and her mother and Crystal had lived. Crystal's mother had lived in McCreary County, Kentucky, and Crystal's case was it's unsolved, and it was a
That's okay. I'll go
mystery,
back and
even
get
a
it
bigger
later.
mystery for quite a few years. Crystal went missing at the age of 15 in October of 1998 and was found in 2009, 11 years after she went missing. Her remains were found by hunters. And it took a detective and I guess the then McCreary County Sheriff to finally
Sorry, I keep stopping on just stuff's just coming to mind, and I'm taking a few notes here. But I would like to speak to the hunters as well. I would just like to know how they found her. Like, how do you stumble up on that? Something that you would think had been looked for thoroughly before, and then they stumble up on a person.
put Crystal's case under the umbrella of a homicide. She had been missing for 11 years, but her remains that were found, there was evidence that it wasn't that she ran away and, died in the woods. It was an actual homicide. So, Lorella, tell us about your Crystal. Tell us about her.
I probably can't talk for crying.
I understand, because I have to tell you, her pictures are so incredibly beautiful. That girl was just gorgeous. And the pictures today, 22 years, almost 22 years later, she still looks so vibrant. I mean, her pictures just look like they talk to you off the page. She must have been a very special girl.
She was I don't think I saw her until she was a couple of years old, maybe. But she was pretty as she could be. And when she got a little older, she was real active and just wanted everything. We went to Dollywood one year, and she wanted to buy that whole town.
Turn it to
She was a
Crystal
baller.
Land.
I love it.
Or Dolly World, Crystal World.
She had big dreams.
She's a beautiful girl. So beautiful. So
That breaks my heart right there. She said she had big dreams. We all remember being 15, I'm sure. I know I remember being 15, and that's the truth. You don't have bigger dreams than you have when you're between the ages of 15 and 19, I don't think. Right before the real world hits you upside the head, but wow, that really gets me hearing that. God rest her soul.
was on her way to visit with some friends. Is that what happened in October of 1998?
Yes, her mother had taken her to the library and got a book or something. Her mother worked nights. And Crystal wanted to go down to a friend to get some CDs or DVDs or whatever it was, maybe even tapes that they had borrowed from her, I believe is the way it was. And so her mother just dropped her off down there, and then her mother came on over here and stayed till time to go to work. She worked right up the road here from me at a nursing home.
Right. And then what happened? Was someone supposed to pick Crystal up, or she was supposed to be with her friends?
It wasn't very far from her house. She could have walked.
Ah, I see. And when did Crystal's mother, Abigail, find out that she had not made it home?
Well, that was a Thursday night, I believe, and Friday, when Abby got home from work, she would have already been gone to school. And she didn't think much about it, but she didn't come home then that night.
Right.
So the next day, we all found out about it and went to the law and everything. Questioned some of her friends.
Did anyone have any really good information or answers?
No.
No. Who was the last person who saw her? The friend that she went to pick up her borrowed items from?
Well, she had gone back home and wrote in her diary, her journal. She had a composition.
So I'm hoping, and I assume that they talked to the friends that she was last with. I assume, I don't know, I guess if she would consider a runaway, maybe they didn't. Who knows what information they had. No, they really shouldn't be. Even if they are a runaway, if they're a minor, that's a sign that they could be in danger. Like, get that child back with some proper supervision, you know? Yes, things are making a lot more sense now. Like, I won't elaborate too much. Guys, I know a little bit of information that I just don't want to talk on until I figure everything out. But yes, it makes much more sense going back through and listening after reading a few of the articles and things. Yeah, their children in trouble. They probably need us more than the kids who aren't running away.
Composition book that she wrote in all the time, about every day. So she was back home that night.
You know,
So,
if you write in a journal every day, then that means that you document your day in there. I would, you know, she had to document her day. I wonder what happened when she was picking up her CDs. I wonder what happened that day. I wonder what, you know, she was looking forward to later that afternoon or later that night. Because at 15, let's face it, she probably had plans later that night, especially if her mom was going to be at work. I would have had at her age. Got you. Yeah, and I mean, I guess they really can if there's no evidence, but I don't know. Let's see. Let's listen to more.
we think somebody just called her up and came and got her.
So she had made it back home. She had time to write in her journal.
Yes.
And then something happened and she is just never heard from again.
Right.
Poof, she's gone.
Yep.
And this is before the days of any sort of video activity. We don't have, we didn't have cameras everywhere. I'm guessing in 1998, did she have a cell phone, or was that not even?
I didn't get my first cell phone until 2002. So I would think it's not so far-fetched to think 4 years before that she didn't have a cell phone, especially at 15, because the only reason I got one when I did is because I was working and driving. So my grandmother wanted me to have one then. But outside of that, I would have had no reason because I was always with them. Yeah, we probably had them, but our area too, you got to think about Macquarie County area is probably about 5 years behind. So we're on the East Coast. We're about 5 years behind anything you're seeing on TV or in the media and stuff. Like California wise, they're ahead of us, and it's just because it takes a minute to get to our location. It's a little bit slower in this area, if that makes any sense. Do you agree with that, Ada? Only families had them then, rich families. Yeah. Like the only reason I had one is because I started working and driving, and I still had to pay for it myself, but my grandmother needed it for her peace of mind.
No.
On her radar. Yeah, she was a little young and wouldn't have needed one probably right then, that's for sure. Or didn't think she did. So there's no real way to track her. She didn't drive because she was too young to drive. So someone else had to come and get her physically or come and pick her up in a vehicle of some sort.
Yes.
And there was no reports from any neighbors of seeing her get into a car.
No.
Nothing like that. She's just gone.
Yes.
So Abby comes home from work. Crystal should have been at school, didn't think anything about it, finds out she didn't go to school and that she's now gone. And there are no friends, there's nothing. Girls can't not tell their friends if they feel like there's, a boy they like or anything like that. And none of Crystal's friends came forward and said she might be with this person.
No.
Nothing.
That's a good point. Girls can't just not tell their friends. I don't even think that is just a girl thing. I think that's a teenage thing in general. Man, teenagers talk to each other. I would like to know who she spoke with and what she told them in the days up till then. I've seen rumors of what might have transpired that I don't believe or that I don't want to believe without having reason. But other than that, I would like to really know if anybody ever came forward. And if they didn't and you're one of Crystal's friends, come forward now. I mean, from what I hear, there's really nothing to be intimidated about when it comes to who may or may not have been involved in this. Yeah, on a Thursday night. True.
Thing. That would have to be the most frustrating thing in the world, that your child is just gone. Was the family happy with how law enforcement responded to her case?
No, they just figured she was a runaway.
That's what I hear way more than I ever want to hear.
Yes.
At the age of 15, they just think she ran away. And there was nothing besides the fact that Crystal was obviously beautiful and creative with big dreams. There was nothing in her behavior or nothing at home that would have made her want to run away.
No.
She had a good life. She had friends and people who loved her. What would she be running away from?
I don't know.
To know she had a good life. So why would they automatically assume she's a runaway if nothing was going on? Now, if she was a troubled teen or she had something going on at home and they assume that, it'd be different. But this is not the first time I've heard this or read this. You know, I have heard that she had a good life. You know, this wasn't something where people's like, oh, we seen that one coming. You know, people were genuinely shocked about this. People genuinely still are mind blown about this.
She got kind of down and out lots after she was that old.
That teenage kind of angst
Yeah.
that happens with every teenager.
When she was younger, everybody picked on her, thought she was pretty she could be, you know, and everything. And one lady even wanted to take her home, keep her.
Aw, she really is so incredibly beautiful. I mean, just like I said, she still just, jumps out at you from any picture that you take of her. You can't dim that inner light.
Okay, so that's interesting information. You know, I wondered that because of her hairstyle and stuff, because I would go that way sometimes when I was around that age. And I noticed like her shirt, I had the same shirt she was wearing when she was growing up. I had that shirt too. I think it was a mud shirt. So yeah, that's fun times, fun times. Right. Yeah. You can tell in her pictures, man. She just lights it up.
She's just a big inner light. She's a beautiful girl. So you don't think the police really spent a lot of time tracking down anything, looking at potential suspects? They just thought, well, she ran away.
They did kind of after a while. They questioned one family.
Right.
And the family was supposed to take him up to the state police within the same building as the sheriff's office. And they were supposed to take their son up there that day. And then they were going to do a lie detector test, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But they called back and said they weren't coming. There wasn't any way they could make him.
Right.
How in the world can you do that and not be a suspect?
So you mentioned a specific family. So the digging around that I've done, there's a whole lot of finger pointing and innuendo on a specific family, particularly two brothers and another person who would have been a friend, different last name. One of the brothers has since died. Do you believe that either of the two brothers in that family or the other?
Give me just a second. I'm gonna they drop a lot of big clues in there. Yeah, I am going to reach out to them by email because I'd say that they are a wealth of knowledge on this.
Person who moved to Louisville after Crystal's remains were found. Do you believe any of those men
Definitely was not.
had anything to do with her disappearance?
We did at first, and I don't know who the other person could have been that has moved to Louisville. I don't remember hearing that.
I'll tell you his name later. Yeah, that's everything I have read points to those particular suspects. And since one of them is deceased and the other one may not be, that close geographically anymore, it must be tough when you have so little information to go on and you can't really, you feel like you're not ever going to get to the end of this. I can tell you I reached out to McCreary County Sheriff's Office and was surprised at the amount of pushback I got.
Oh,
You don't sound like you are surprised?
no.
Yeah. Just didn't want to give me the time of day. And I mean, real just like,
Fingers crossed that they don't give me a hard time. I'm not going to be too nosy. I just want to know basic public information just from the horse's mouth. But
put down a wall and made it difficult to even leave a message for anyone. And that I find is very unusual because they the present McCreary County Sheriff Waters has put out quite a few things asking for tips, asking for help, saying it's still a very active case.
I'm hoping
And all
that
we
helps.
have are, is gossip and rumors. We do get tips occasionally, but if it's just, someone telling a rumor they heard, it's hard to track down. But then not being open when I call and say, would you like to talk about the case? And I explained that I would be talking to you. And just not I got zero answer, emails and phone calls. I got nothing back. But that doesn't sound like it's surprising to you.
Not too much. You didn't talk to a lady over there?
I did.
Oh, did she tell you her name?
No, she was, I'm going to say this, and I hope she's not like your best friend or something. She was possibly the most rude woman I've ever spoken to in my life.
A friend of mine does work there. As a matter of fact, she's our treasurer in the Historical Society. But
this wasn't the treasurer. I think this was just someone answering the phone.
It was a public information person, right?
She didn't give me her title or name, so I don't know if they have a public information person in the sheriff's office in McCreary County, but she was really unpleasant.
I don't believe my friends working there now. Everybody's staying home.
Right, exactly, right. No, this was someone who answered the phone at the sheriff's office, yeah. And she was highly unpleasant, and yeah. So, and I contacted Sheriff Waters personally, and nothing, not even a response like, I can't help you, go pound sand, turn green, nothing. I got nothing. And I was like, okay, that's great. I have all these articles where you're begging people for tips and asking for help, but won't talk to anyone about the case. I mean, about anything. So
that concerns me because I know even there's a lot of stuff that he probably can't tell nobody and that a sheriff would not want to tell anybody because it is still open investigation and it's just some things aren't our business. But looks like she would at least got a call back with some general information or something because, it's a cold case, or it's, in my opinion, I would say it's a cold case. I haven't seen anything that would lead me to believe otherwise.
Oh, take me back to 11 years after she disappears and remains are found by some hunters. Where this service road where it turns out it was identified as Crystal's remains, how far away is that from the house she shared with her mom, Abigail?
Maybe 5 miles. I'm not real sure.
Okay, so just not far, but in the same kind of area. Is it an area that Crystal would have known about?
I don't think so.
Right. It seemed like it was just off of a service road. and it seems like a place that wouldn't be a place for kids to hang, and wouldn't be a place for her to go and run away, especially after finding out that she had apparently been bludgeoned and shot from the remains. That's how it was finally classified a homicide.
They said she'd been shot through the mouth and in the back of the head.
Right. And apparently bludgeoned, which seems like overkill. You don't need to do so much. So I have to ask this because it has come up as a rumor. Is there any chance that this is because Crystal was biracial?
I think so.
You do?
Yes. The FBI came here and they said they couldn't get into it unless it was kidnapping or racial. And I said, well, I think it was both.
Interesting.
But they didn't do anything.
So the FBI showed up because she was a child. When a child goes missing, that's typically the FBI can be involved. But they said unless she had been kidnapped or it was a hate crime, and you think it was both.
Yes.
So do you still believe it was the people that you thought it was, or do you believe it was somehow something else?
Well, after we got her journal, I've got all the papers. Her mother's gave them all to me. I've got all of Abby's too since she passed away, or a lot of her stuff. She had written, like on Wednesday night, she and a friend had gone out with these two guys. And they'd gone to Oneida, but it was pouring the rain. They were going to a ball game or something. But it was pouring.
Oneida will be a bit south of where she was at in McCory County. It's in the next state, Tennessee, below us, south of us. I know, FARQ, you're not familiar with this area like that. So, but she was a little bit south. She was outside of the state.
Pouring rain.
Ooh, Ada says service roads were hangouts. Yeah, you know, the adults aren't going to know what the hangouts were. Not only the people who were running during that time, you know, what crowds were running the crowds at that time will know where they were hanging out, because we know how sneaky teenagers are, and I know how sneaky I was. They were not knowing where I was at unless I wanted them to, and that's terrible to say, and that's not the safest way to be, but it's the reality. What question is that, Ada? I'll be more than happy to ask it when I go down there.
But the guy that was with Crystal was an older married guy. And after all that, I thought he might have come back the next night and got her, but it was...
Okay, so the forensic side of things is so complex. I never know. I assume they have ways of doing that because they can tell things completely crazy, but in the elements for that long, who knows how, you know, like they said that they didn't have to dig in any soil. Granted, they were all together. They say that they were all found within close proximity to each other. All of her remains, you know. I think that it's not far-fetched that, you know, how did an animal never get in that? There's a lot of animals in Macquarie County, guys. Yeah, I have questions too. Ada, you personally, do you think that there's any possibility that she was moved? Like that maybe that wasn't initially where she was at and she was placed there at a later time? Oh, yeah. I honestly get the feel whatever happened, there was more than one person that knows. And there was more than one person that witnessed.
$11 or so.
So Oneida is a small town near where you live, right? They'd gone...
It's in Tennessee, but it's just 6 or 7 miles from here.
Across the border, right?
Yes.
And she was with an older married man.
Yes.
And
I don't know which one was the driver, but I think they were in the back seat. She and the...
Whoa, I missed that. I'd seen the rumor, but I missed that. Jesus Christ. Well, Grandma confirmed that.
Other guy.
And you think he may have come back the following night because he was afraid she would tell his wife, or?
I don't know.
Okay.
Thought maybe he came back or something.
So you have done more detective work than the detectives.
It's far more.
Yeah.
The guy that was with him, he's in jail all the time, but this guy that was with her, he went back up Cincinnati to his dad's a few years later, and his dad shot and killed him right across the table.
Wow. So two people that may have possibly been on a suspect list are deceased.
Yes. And the boys that you were talking about before, their dad died after the one boy died.
Right. But
His mother had died before.
but there's still one family member left, at least.
Two boys.
Yeah. Okay.
Left.
So there's still two boys left who may know what happened and have never been questioned. And when someone in their family, the one who is deceased, was supposed to be taken to the police station for a polygraph test, they called and said, "We've changed our mind. We're not coming."
Yes. The mother and father were separated, but he had called her at lunchtime or something like that. She didn't know it for a few days afterwards.
Ah.
I talked to her also.
So the two boys that are still alive, have they ever been questioned?
I don't think so. They stay in jail most of the time.
Wow, that's let you know they're good quality human beings.
Yeah, and the guy that was with, the guy she was with in the car the night before, he's in jail most of the time too. And I told him that they could bargain with him and make him tell if he knew anything about it, but they won't do stuff like that.
That was a good idea, and that seems like that would be something. That's where a lot of tips come from, and unfortunately, it's difficult to trust them when they come from people where you question their honesty. But maybe if they have sentences that they could get shortened, they would come forward and say something about who did this and why. I'm kind of shocked that that hasn't been used as a tool to get information about Crystal's case.
I think it would have helped. I think they could have.
Yeah, Love's Lark. I'm pretty obsessed with this one. I can't get my head out of it.
Because all of them been in jail.
Right. So another terrible part of this story is that Abigail was involved in an automobile accident a few years before Crystal's remains were found. So she didn't even know what happened to her daughter. We can hope that they know now and they're
So
together.
sad.
But where was Abigail when the automobile accident happened?
She was right at the end of our road up here. She was turning. It was on Friday, and she didn't work till night, but she was going to the nursing home to get her paycheck, and she stopped to turn, and the car just ran back.
So she was stopped, and someone just plowed into her.
Yes.
And she died because of the accident, but the driver did not.
No, he's a
You're good. When this interview's
so-called
over with,
preacher.
I'll be ending it
He's a
anyways.
preacher.
Thank you
Oh,
for being
okay, I
here,
didn't know
and thank
that
you for
part.
all the information you give me.
And he's still alive, and he lived through the accident. Was he
It really helps
ever
put things in perspective
charged with anything involving
about the area.
vehicular homicide, or?
They had a trial, but they didn't find him guilty.
Oh, so he was, okay. Was he drinking, or was that not?
He bought drugs from people around here that I know, but I don't know if he used them or what.
I see. So you don't know at the time of the accident if he was
I don't know.
inebriated. Okay, I gotcha. Okay.
He just said he didn't remember anything.
That's messed up
It was
too.
not even a quarter of a mile from the red light to the road for the nursing home is. He said he didn't remember anything after he left the the red light, but he knew
I look forward to it, Ada.
that she was there or something. The car was there.
Wow. Wow. I feel like your family has had just about enough.
Yes.
That just is, that's way too much insult to injury already. So it sounds like you have a lot of information about Crystal's case, and you have kept all of this information, and you're a very good gatekeeper, key master of all of this case.
The friend that I was telling you about that works in the sheriff's office said after the new district attorney for this area.
Oh, okay.
And we've got a new one now, and she thought that he would do more.
So there's a new DA, and your friend in the sheriff's office says that she thinks the new DA will do more looking into the case.
That's what she told me when he was running and he got to office. So,
Well, I think that's at least a good start. Sometimes fresh eyes on a case can see something that maybe other people didn't, even though I know there's not sounds like a lot of investigation that happened in the early part of her going missing, because that's the important time.
yes.
I'm still a little shocked that when a 15-year-old girl goes missing, they say she's a runaway. I'm still always shocked at that. And, obviously that does happen
Yep.
sometimes, but it happens enough times that a situation like this is the result, and they need to pay attention faster to what's happening, because those, few precious days at the beginning, weeks at the beginning, when something like this happens, people are more likely to talk, to have the correct information, time, age, all of that plays into your recollection as more time goes by. Maybe people have, the wrong memory. It's such a heartbreaking thing for something to go this long without being solved, without something shaking loose. So when her remains were found, did that open up anything with the case? Did more people come forward?
No, nobody came forward. They just talked about it.
Right. There's definitely a lot of gossip online.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, about who did what and why. And I still never quite understood and got to what could be the motive. But you actually think it could have been because she was biracial?
I kind of think so. Some of them had started making remarks about it, but she was still pretty. I mean, and she had friends. But
Well, we have Crystal to thank for that. Unfortunately, it takes a situation like this to wake up parents sometimes. And I'm sure back in that day, that's what it took.
the one that we thought did it at first, he was a good friend of hers, supposedly.
Right.
So I just figured if he got with some other boys, and they did that.
Convinced him to do something. Yeah, you usually want to start close and then move out, as far as, because this doesn't sound like a stranger abduction, like that she was walking down the street and someone picked her up.
No.
So even after her remains are found and it was proven she's not a runaway, and it was proven that she came to an end that was at someone else's hand, it still didn't open up the case?
No.
That's very shocking to me.
Well, they said it was never closed, but
Right.
they didn't do anything.
That's what the sheriff said in all of the articles I've read, is that it's still a very open, active case. But again, couldn't really understand why no one wanted to talk or give any kind of a statement at all. So tell me, Lorella, what can someone do if they know any information about Crystal's case? We will absolutely give the sheriff's number at the end of the podcast for people to call. But is there anything that anyone can do to help with this case?
Just if anyone knows for sure. Like I said, the two brothers I don't even know where they're living. They were living in somebody's empty house or something. They finally got them out of there, but I don't know if they would tell anything if they knew it. But other than that, I don't know who would.
Well, like, we know someone or someone's know something. There is absolutely probably more than one person who knows what happened to Crystal in October of 1998. And we'll give the number for the McCreary County Sheriff's Office. Absolutely. Is there anything else you want listeners to know, Lorella?
Her grandma, Abby's mom, is up here in the nursing home. But up the road from me a little piece. We stopped to see her. Of course, we haven't been in there now since the coronavirus, but
Right.
Yep.
we usually stop on Sundays when I've got her brother, Crystal's brother's three little children. And I don't have them, but they stay with me on the weekends and go to church with me. We usually stop after church to see her.
So her family is still waiting for answers.
Oh, yes. I'm 85, and I don't expect to be here too long.
Well, thank you, Lorella, for talking with us today.
You're welcome, and I sure hope something happens.
So if you have any information at all about what happened to Crystal Marler, who may be responsible, who may know something, anything at all, please call the McCreary County Sheriff's Office at 606-376-2322 and more cowbell.
I love that. More cowbell. If you know, you know. Yeah, very sad. So guys, that's the dig that I had tonight on Crystal. We could go back in the papers and dig up more articles if I had the time, but unfortunately, life is calling. I'll be back on live later in the morning or tomorrow afternoon, probably, to dig Crystal's case a little more. I would like to get into the maps, and I know we didn't get into that tonight. I would like to pull all this up on Google Earth and kind of start putting points in and getting a better idea of the locations. But I appreciate all of you that were here tonight. And if you're watching the replay, go ahead and give me a like and a share if you don't mind. I'm trying to grow my channel. And if there is a PI or anybody who can help with anything who is watching this, my email is scrolling along the bottom of the screen. If you would reach out to me, and we can go from there. Guys, have a wonderful night, and I will see you next time. Bye.